Tom, get to your seat.
Let the record reflect that we agreed to meet with all members present and all members. Please rise if you're able to pledge allegiance and remain standing after the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to remember a long-time Madison resident who died in the last couple of weeks. Robert Crowder died on March 23rd, at the age of 93. Born in Orange, New Jersey, lived in Montclair prior to moving to Madison 60 years ago. Graduated from Montclair High School, attended college, my alma mater. She was a devoted homemaker and lovingly took care of her family, and a member of the Varsity Baptist Church. She was survived by her son Carl, a mother, Anna, all of Madison. Take a moment to remember Robert Crowder. That's our thoughts on the family and friends that she leaves behind. Thank you. Motion for the executive minutes of March 27, 2023. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. And a motion for the regular minutes of March 27, 2023. So moved. Second. Any discussion or corrections? All in favor? Aye. Welcome all. Before I get into my comments, I want to share a statement from Ted Fulton. Over the past years, I have served as a council member working to improve Madison and help the council increase its transparency even more with regards to a variety of areas. Unfortunately, due to personal reasons, I must resign my council seat effective tonight before 10. Please know that this was not an easy decision for me to make. I will truly miss the work that I have been doing for the council over these past years. I do plan to continue my work with the ad hoc diversity committee this year. I thank you for trusting in me with town issues over the past 4 years. Certainly, with very much regret, accept this resignation from Jeff Holland. I appreciate all that he has done and will continue to do for Borough Madison, as we do with all of our council members, elected officials that have served the borough. We will recognize her at our reorganization meeting in January. We'll see you around town, and again, appreciate it. Shifting gears a little bit, as mentioned in the last meetings, true update, we did have a meeting through administration and the members of the board of trustees. It was a productive meeting that will lead to continued discussions. In a few minutes, I will be presenting a birthday proclamation to the members of the Friends of the True Forest, and this year's birthday theme is Invest in Our Planet. I can't think of a better way, I'm hopeful I'm to invest in our planet and working with groups to preserve the forest. And last week, I received a letter from 8-year-old Keegan of Stafford Drive. He was requesting that we pave his road, as he and his brother ride bicycles and scooters to school and other areas, and there were many potholes. I did let him know, one, he had amazing handwriting, and I certainly was not going to handwrite the letter back, you'd never be able to read it. The Stafford Drive is scheduled for repaving in 2026, but in the meantime, in fact, he did get there today at Wilson with potholes, so it works. Send a letter, and we will respond. I hand deliver that message to you today. Very proud. And I really gave also. On March 29th, I attended the League of Municipalities Legislative Day in Trenton. This was the first such session since before the pandemic, but despite the break, the hot topics were the same. Liquor license reform and affordable housing. I had nothing more things to share. And this past Saturday, I cut the ribbon at the town desk on Central Avenue. You're joining me at the ribbon cutting with John Hoover and many members of the Chamber of Commerce. It is amazing what they've done to bring a former laundromat into a veterinary office right in the center of town. So stop by and say hello. And then also on Saturday, the Chamber's Easter Fest that had been postponed from the week before bad weather. And great to see all the families downtown with their Easter baskets and their fine Shelly cards. And a little reminder that our next council meeting will be on Wednesday, April 26th instead of Monday the 24th, so everyone can enjoy the taste of Madison. And I'd like to announce the employees for the month of April who are qualified purchasing agent general and electric utility senior office assistant identified staff. Most have been working with many extra hours and additional tasks. One employee is out on maternity leave. This has been vital to getting the borough vendors paid in timely manner. They all appreciate it. Now I'm going to come down to do a proclamation. Yes, in just a second. This is also shown on I figured as part of Earth Day, I would share some of my new routines in downtown. And some people have seen me do this. In fact, one of the doctors at New Vet Hospital said, you know, we saw this man going by picking up litter all the time, and then we found out he was the mayor. So, you know, if you can get me to many different places, I would recommend, you know, go ahead, you go for walks. Get a grabber. If you're not in downtown, you want to get a bag too. But if you're downtown, grab and drop it in a bucket. And it'll be a bunch of beautiful space. We take care of a little corner, we can take care of the whole earth. And for my messages out there, there's plenty of litter to pick up on a regular basis. Both between walls, I don't mind that. But for those that have not been able to quit smoking yet, our sidewalks are not an ashtray. Please extinguish it and put it in the garbage so they don't have to go like this. Anyway, so that's my little Earth Day tip of the day. And now, let me have the friends of Drew come on up. The friends of Drew Forest. Before I read this, I want you to know two things with the proclamation. One, it is in green, in honor of Earth Day. And you might be a little worried that the frame is looking a little beat up. That's because it's recycled. Reuse. Whereas Earth Day was first celebrated April 22nd, 1970, with the goal of inspiring the appreciation of our nation's natural resources through conservation and protection. And whereas Earth Day 1970 led to the establishment of the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, and the National Environmental Protection Agency. Whereas on April 22nd, 1990, the first International Earth Day was observed by 200 million people in 141 nations. And whereas global challenges continue to grow, such as environmental degradation, global health issues, climate change, food and water shortages. Whereas all life forms on Earth have the right to a healthy, sustainable environment, and as caretakers of our planet, we all have an obligation to change human behaviors and contribute to climate change and to preserve the Earth's beauty and its resources. And whereas this obligation extends not only to today's caretakers, but to future generations of caretakers who will inherit the planet from us. Whereas this year's Earth Day theme is invest in our planet, and encourages businesses, governments, and citizens to come together to take action against climate crisis for the health of the future generations. And whereas on Earth Day, and every day, Madison residents are encouraged to preserve our natural resources by participating in efforts to reduce consumption waste, recycle, utilize renewable resources, eliminate pollution, and conserve water and energy. Now, therefore, I, Robert H. County, Mayor of Borough, Madison, on behalf of the governing body, hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2023 as Earth Day. We also have in our consent agenda the acceptance of our recommendations for the climate action plan. So it's very appropriate. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate receiving this. And I want to thank the Mayor and Council for your continued efforts on behalf of the forest. I often tell people when we're out meeting and reading and educating the public about the forest and why we're working so hard to preserve it, that our job would be a lot harder if it wasn't for this council and mayor. And it makes all the difference in the world that you're working so hard. So thank you for that. For those of you who are not familiar, Friends of True Forest is an all-volunteer organization. We came together in May of 2021 because we heard of a threat to the True Forest development, and we wanted to try and see if we could come up with a solution that would provide the needed funds to the university, but also preserve the forest. So we've been advocating the last 2 years for win-win conservation sale, and that's what we've been working on. And what became very apparent to us early on was that this really was a regional issue. Although the forest is fully within Madison, it provides important recharge resources to our water supply, and not only our water supply, but regional water supply as well. Many communities, including Madison, Florham Park, Borough, and Hanover Township, rely on the underground aquifer, which is recharged through the forest. The aquifer is very large, of course, is one part of it. It's a really important resource. Also, we were able to get support from a number of municipalities outside of Madison, surrounding towns within Morris County, several environmental groups, and also support advocacy from two very well-known conservation leaders, Doug Talamy and John Booth. And most recently, I don't know if you've ever seen this yet, but Mountain Lakes Environmental Commission has also sent an email to us in support of preserving the forest. And also the Wildlife Reserve, which is also a conservation organization, has also promised us those regional recognition and support coming in. We're very grateful for that. So once again, thank you very much for this. And Jay, I'm thinking we could take this to our tabling events.
See you at the
Farmers Market. Yeah.
That'll be easy expo.
So a lot of things coming up. So thank you again, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we go to the reports from the committees, I'll quickly outline the process of filling a vacancy on the council, so I'm sure that special will be coming up, and so we'll save that time. Since we are a town with partisan elections, the party that had the vacancy has 15 days rather, to submit 3 names to the borough for the borough council to consider to fill the vacancy. The council then has 30 days from now, from the submission, to select from one of those 3. If the party does not submit anyone, the council can select from on their own without any submissions. If the council fails to act within the 30 days, the slot will be vacant until the general election. Since we're past the filing deadline, each party can select a candidate, nominate the candidate to run for the unexpired term. They can submit those names by September 7th. get all the details, the actual details of the submission process and how that works for a clerk's office, and that person would be on, people would be on the ballot running for the one-year term. They would be separate from the other two positions that are up for one this year. So it would be vote for two, and then you have a vote for one. That person who wins that election will immediately take office the first meeting after the election and serve for the end of the term, which is December 31st, 2024. So that is the overall process. And now we'll move on to the first committees. Committee Affairs, Council President Over.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to underscore what the mayor said in terms of the ribbon cutting at town vets. Town vets at 33 Central Avenue. They took over the laundromat and did an absolutely fabulous job in renovating it, having several examination and operating rooms. It's worthwhile to just go down to see it. So I would suggest you do that. Second item, the Draft and Development Commission will hold its next meeting on Thursday, April 20th, 7:15, in the committee room, which is right next door here. May 8th will now be called Madison Food and Cooking. Madison Food and Cleaning. It will take place on Saturday, September 29th, April 29th. From 9 to 2 or 3. The event will be relatively similar, but we will enhance the format to focus on environmental and green initiatives. Please email tdc@rosenet.org for more information. As the weather continues to get warmer, more outdoor dining options will be available in restaurants that have completed the permitting process. The Chamber of Commerce. 2023 Taste of Madison is Monday, April 24th, at the Brooklyn Country Club. Tickets are available for food burgers at Gary's Wine Marketplace or Gary'sWine.com. Ladies' night is scheduled for Thursday, May 11th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. The Madison Community Arts Center. This week, the Madison Eagle carry a comprehensive story on Madison resident Yana Khan Kane, and the reading of the translation of poems from authors currently living in Ukraine. This program, Poetry of Witness, was attested with Don't Close Your Eyes exhibit, which closed last week. The reading was also streamed on Mata, YouTube channel, and has been seen around the world, including Russia. One of the center's important objectives this year was to connect with programs from all three local universities. As of this past Saturday, the goal was met with a concert by Extension's Dance Project, led by Fairleigh Dickinson alum Caitlin Esposito, which included the gifts from FDU and an audience consisting of a large portion of FDU students. This December, the center has held a dance event, a music open mic, and a Gaylord Music Festival with students from the university. The Don't Close Your Eyes exhibit was presented with a partnership with Richard Whitman from the Center for Holocaust and Genocide Education at Madison University. On Monday, April 17th at 2 p.m., the Film Society of Summit presents The Power of Community, How One Town Stood Against Domestic Violence. The afternoon will include a panel discussion with Tim Clary, Clinician and Outreach Coordinator for Racial Coalition, and the film's director, Marty Hancock. Information will be found on the Art Center page, landing page of the MAPA website. The public is invited to attend. The news should have been there by Haitian-born photographer Patrick Hilaire of Black Musicians in Performance within the walls of the starting May 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Public Works Secretary and Finance Bureau Clerk, Ms. Oda.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Department reports that this Friday the Borough is paying $212,112 in bond proceeds. This represents the interest portion of the borough debt that covered the construction of the public safety building, as well as the renovations to Harley Dodge and the purchase of a fire truck from the 2008 bond issue. The second annual payment for this bond is on October 15th of this year, and that amount will be $1,682,112.50, which covers both the principal and the interest payments. These bonds were originally issued in 2008 and then refinanced in 2014. We have another 5 years of payments, and then this bond will be completely paid off. Secondly, the Finance Department, Tax Department, and Personnel Department are all working on the user-friendly budget document. This is a statutorily required document that must be filed with the official state budget. In prior years, the user-friendly budget was due when our municipal budget was introduced. However, the Division of Local Government Services has changed the regulations, and the user-friendly budget is now due at the same time as our budget hearing. As a reminder, the council will hold that hearing on our municipal budget on Wednesday evening, April 26th. The official state budget document is available for review on RoseNet, and hard copies are available in the clerk's office and at the library. And now for Public Works. Public Works Department reports that there was a sewer department, a pump failure with a sewer department at the Lorraine Borough station. And Mr. O'Brien, the head of Public Works, was circumspect in his comments as to what caused the failure, but I'm going to be blunt because subtlety is not going to get the message across. But the problem is that this pump was basically broken down and blocked by plastic enema applicators, latex condoms, and dental floss being flushed down the toilet. So, as an architect, you talk about toilets and sewers a lot more than maybe people would expect. So I'm comfortable enough to talking about these things. I know making people uncomfortable, but the fact is flushing these objects down the toilet cause our sewer pumps to break. And so we need to stop doing that so that we don't have pump failures. And we're going to coordinate some outreach to help people understand what it should and should not be flushed down the toilet. So please spread the word if you're comfortable saying words like tampon and condom and dental floss. Okay, we have to tell people not to flush these things. Okay. Separately, the sewer department will be around jetting various sewer lines this week. Please check rosenet.org for a map and these areas that will be cleaned. Our Public Works mechanics have replaced all the lighting in the Borough mechanical shop with LED fixtures. The shop is now much better lit, and the LEDs are using much less energy. And finally, spring sports are in full swing, and the Parks Department has all the fields ready to go. So, April is our month, as we heard from the mayor with the great proclamation. Madison is doing a lot to celebrate. We have a number of great events in April that I'm going to quickly highlight. You can see these on rosenet.org. Go to the homepage, and you can see all the April green events that the town is hosting and sponsoring. The EV Expo is the first one up on Wednesday, April 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. You can come see and test drive the newest plug-in electric vehicles and e-bikes. This is a Drive Electric Earth Day event. It's sponsored by the Environmental Commissions of Madison, Chatham Borough, and Chatham Township. And there's going to be a tremendous turnout. We're going to close Kings Road, have dozens of vehicles there, many new makes and models, e-bikes from Hilltop. Borough is going to bring their solar race car up to demonstration project. So there's going to be a lot to see and do, and I encourage everyone to check it out. The Green Home Energy Forum will take place on Thursday, April 20th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Art Center. This will provide energy efficiency and sustainable strategies for residents and businesses to use in their homes and buildings. There'll be a number of experts on hand from town to talk about things that you can do at home or with your business, and then there'll be chances for one-on-one conversations with tabling, and the experts will be available to speak to anyone that has questions. And there will be a town-wide yard sale on April 29th. You can sign up. Residents of Madison, Chatham can list their yard sale on a digital map by making a $10 tax-deductible contribution to the Great Swamp Watershed Association. So there's links to sign up there at the Great Swamp event tab, as well as on the homepage of RoseNet. And finally, the MEC is hosting a daily plant sale as part of Madison Green and Clean, which Councilman Hoover talked about. Toad Shade Wildflower Farm will participate from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. selling native plants. I think we'll have one more meeting to talk a little bit more about Arbor Day events happening also on the 29th. So I encourage you to learn about all these different events that are happening in the next few weeks by going to rosette.org and looking at all the links provided there with more information for all the events around town. Thank you.
Thank you. Utilities, Mr. Madison.
Thank you, Mayor. From the electric department, on Friday, March 31st, it's their right crews called to Wilmer Street for a power outage caused by a squirrel tripping a fuse. On Saturday, April 1st, it's their right crew responded to half power at 5 Avon Drive. After inspection, it was determined to be an internal homeowner issue. On Tuesday, April 4th, the standby crew was called to 1/2 power at 53 Green Avenue, which was caused by an internal issue. The department continues to replace aging utility poles and install new utility poles for construction projects throughout the town. And finally, the department also continues to do bar house and house service, as well as upgrade and streetlights to LED. From the water department, it's that time of year again, the drinking fountains at the ball field, huts, and dugouts will be turned on by the end of this week. The department will be repairing a leaky valve on Park Avenue. And finally, the Madison pool water has been turned on for the season. And now, in regards to solar installations, tonight we have 3 ordinances that update the language in the Borough Code that regulate solar installations throughout the town. The majority of the changes are small and just clarify the application process and regulations for solar installations. However, there is one significant change. The ordinance will allow municipal, Board of Education, and other government customers to install larger solar installations on their properties. These ordinance changes will also allow for remote net metering. We will learn more about them and what that means later this evening. Administration is asking for these ordinance changes so we can take the next step with the NRC solar carport project. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. First, to start off tonight, I would just like to give a shout out to the police department. This was not part of the chief's report, but they had two large incidents last week. So it was a difficult week for the folks at the Madison Police Department. One incident was local here in Madison, where the quick action of our officers resulted in the apprehension of one of the suspects involved in an incident at Citizens Bank on Main Street. The second was an incident at College St. Elizabeth's University. It's taken a long time to get that way. / the Academy of St. Elizabeth, where our officers provided mutual aid to Morris Township. More information on these incidents can be found on the Borough's Facebook page. But again, our officers did a fantastic job, and it was a full department effort on both of those days. On to the chief's report. The Madison Police Department is proud to announce implementation of the Blue Envelope program for resident drivers with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. The program assists someone with ASD to communicate effectively with police officers and vice versa. More information will be shared on our social media channels and on the Madison Police website in the coming days. The program was created in Connecticut and is now sponsored by the Morris County Chiefs of Police Association. For more information, again, you can check out the police department area of Roseland. The Traffic Safety Bureau worked in conjunction with the Motor Vehicle Commission mobile unit on March 27th. Mobile unit serviced over 50 people, providing real ID, driver's license renewals, boat licenses, handicap placards, and license plate returns. Community Relations Unit has a scheduled event on May 4th between 10 a.m. and noon with the seniors to aid in registering for Smart 911 and Alert Madison. Although it is being held at the Senior Cafe located at 15 Chateau-Thierry Avenue, it is open to all residents. And from the fire department, during the month of March, the fire department responded to 52 fire-related incidents and 44 EMS calls for a total of 96 responses for the month. 3 department drills were held, 60 fire prevention inspections were also made. 21 smoke and CO resale certifications were also issued. Tonight, Madison and Florham Park firefighters are at the Morris County Fire Academy for a joint training. They're working together, training in a live burn building. 3 or 4 evaluations of this process are also. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, we're in attendance tonight. There's not too much to report since the last council meeting. We did have a board month meeting on April 3rd, and we reviewed some of the same policies and progresses that the board month's making, as far as our grant, which has already been approved, and the money we're going to spend on the grant has already been appropriated, so we have a good things from Madison. We are currently interviewing college student interns for the Madison Animal Census project that's going to be undertaken this summer, and it's a pay-as-you-ship. The environmental division there are assisting with planning for the Madison Electric utility plan maintenance in May that will result in a temporary electrical shutdown for the borough. So the health department is providing technical assistance and notification to the affected local restaurants and attended planning meetings in February and March. We continue to have 3 blood pressure screenings promoted to all borough employees and the general public. They are available in the health department clinic in Harvard Dodge on the last Friday of the month from 10 a.m. to 11:30. No appointments required. Our communicable disease staff continue to investigate typical cases of reportable disease and they assist the Madison school districts and daycare facilities with any outbreaks. And the staff are finishing up the immunization audits to verify the vaccination status of the school equipment as per New Jersey law. All the schools have been compliant with state requirements. The last piece of news is that a new board of health manager for Bloomfield has been hired temporarily. She is from Essex County. Her name is Maya LaRue. But we are still going to be serviced by Sarah Corner and the very beautiful staff who work in the health department. That's all I have.
Thank you. Now move on to communications with the petition.
Council received an email dated April 4th from Pat Norton, regarding January, February, March this year, and of course, email from council member Ben.
Thank you. We now move on to our first of 2 invitations for public comment. This one is limited to our 2 agenda special items or the resolutions that are part of the said agenda. If you want to comment on ordinances that are up for hearing, obviously we'll have the hearing for those. If ordinances are up for introduction, you may comment in the second comment period, and at that point you can comment on any other topic also. Usually 2 agenda discussions. The department head presentation is tonight we have the director of business development who's supposed to present that, and we also have the presentation of electric utility ordinance amendments by Councilman. These are the resolutions that will be part of the consent agenda, and also we can comment on resolution 119, resolution adopting the 2023 climate change recommendations. Resolution 120 is authorizing the purchase of law enforcement firearms equipment and accessories to the New Jersey Cooperative Pricing Agreement. Through ordinance 23/2023. Resolution 121 is approving underage retail consumption license. It's a theater exemption for the Shakespeare theaters, allows them to sell alcohol prior to and during the intermission of production. Resolution 122 is the shared service agreement with the Township of Berkeley Heights for IT services that we are provider. Resolution 123 is granting the support network of Madison permission to sign green around trees on the streets of Madison from April 30th through May 28th for the Metropolitan. Resolution 124 is authorizing the shared service agreement with Borough for IT services. Resolution 125 is awarding professional services contract to McDonald as site remediation professional for site remediation and compliance activities at various locations. This is not to exceed $50,000 and funded through ordinance 24-2023. Resolution 126 is approving raffle license for the PDA Local 92. Resolution 127 is confirming membership of Devin Scucci in a Madison Hook Ladder Company Number 1. Resolution 128, contract award to National Water Main Cleaning Company in the amount of $337,000, $777 for sanitary sewer cleaning, televising, and repair program. This is funded through ordinance 7-2022. Ordinance 129 is supporting the adoption of anti-idling zone measures by government agencies, schools, businesses, and other agencies. I'm just going to hit on the end of this, so as a reminder for all those out there, encouraging any gasoline or diesel-powered motor vehicle to turn off their engines after 10 seconds. They plan to remain in application for more than 30 seconds. Ensure that idling does not occur at idle-frequent locations such as school drop-off and pickup, drive-through windows, gas stations, parking lots, business centers, etc. And certainly, school drop-off and pickup where our children are steps away from the cars is most important. Maintain municipal vehicles to eliminate any visible exhaust. Enforcing existing violation of penalties on the New Jersey's existing idling code and support broad education of the public about health, environmental, and economic impacts of idling and ways to reduce idling. Those are the resolutions you may comment on. If you want to comment on any of those resolutions or two agenda items, please step forward, state your name, your address, write the same on the clipboard, try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. We will give you a 1 minute grace and we'll have you stop at 4. If you want to take your time, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. Now move on to agenda discussions and Lisa, welcome.
Thank you for your time this evening. I will be hopefully quick. This is an overview of my budget, which obviously looks a lot different than, let's say, the electric department or DPW. But that's fine. If I need anything, additional money or capital, I know who to talk to. And the Borough Council has always been very generous, especially with the art center, etc. That's the one increase in the budget this year was to 4%. Further investment in the art center. As things come up, we were able to do a lot of good things there last year, and we're looking to expand on that as well. Next slide, please. This is just highlights from 2022 and goals for this year. I'm not going to really go over the highlights. I'll cover those later on. I think part of the difference in my budget and in some of the bigger departments is that my role is not very straightforward. I'm a department of one, but I work with the Madison Main Street Foundation, the Downtown Development Commission, and a lot of what I do doesn't cost any money. A lot of what I do is customer service related, working with new businesses or potential new businesses, applications, permitting, that type of stuff, working with the DVC committees, standing committees. So it's, and what isn't reflected here is the Madison Main Street grant and the DVC budget, which covers a lot of the events and stuff that I've done. But a lot of what I'm going to talk a little more about as I go. I would really like to see us move forward with the gateway and wayfinding, project. We've spent about, it feels like forever, but it's probably 2 years working with Merge, to create a, I was being kind, we were so terrible. To get a complete and comprehensive gateway and wayfinding sign system developed. They've done a really good job. We had to go back and forth a lot with two things, but the plan is set now. We have locations, we have a full design packet. I'm happy that some of you have seen that, and I'm happy to share it with everybody. The problem now is the implementation of that will require capital funding. And I'm hoping we can plan for that together, or begin that plan this year. The other thing I have coming up is Madison and Clean, which is conversion of data, and as anything new or any application name, it's been extra work and extra communication to kind of get it off the ground. The data will look pretty much as it always has. So I don't anticipate the actual day to be that different, but try to come up with things that so far I'm a little talking about. Hopefully as we get a little closer, we will get there. The other thing is, I don't know if you're aware that New Jersey is becoming really strong in the film industry, and our ordinance is very outdated. And the goal is to work directly with the New Jersey Motion Picture Television Commission. This is something we're doing with town throughout the city to make Madison so-called according to town film ready. Our ordinance to be there. I think it's a great opportunity for Madison. Who doesn't love a good movie where you get to see some great shots of this beautiful town? So that's a goal. On the way, and Mr. Harlow Pudis loves this aspect. We need new garbage cans. We have to settle on a unit that will work for both DPW, historic preservation, primarily. I have a couple of options. I reached out to the whole organization today. Getting information about their dog. So look for that in coming months. We need to nail that down, and then we need to budget for it. One of the things that this goes back to the downtown revitalization study, we need a public arts plan. And I'd like to get that as priority, like number 2, to get that done this year. It's very hard to start. We don't want to be in a situation where we're starting to, you can do your own here, and you can throw a statue there. There has to be a plan that we can refer to and a way to sort of screen art and have everybody on the same page. So working with MACA, Mass Arts Cultural Alliance, and the DPC Arts and Events Committee and Director to get that done this year. Next slide, please. This is, I'm going to share, I think I'll share with everybody the whole package that we have. It includes, as I said before, all the design specs and locations, and it also has a phasing plan. Now, we have the committee, we have a committee who's been working on this for a while, steering committee. Everybody pretty much feels that our big issues right now, we have we're down to like one gateway. You don't even know when you come into Madison. If you go to Florida Park or Chatham, at every entrance there's a sign. We're globally online now, and if almost none of our parking lots have signage anymore. We changed the name of some of them, etc. Something that most of them would be high on the list, those 2 things, and then I think the next would be directional signage for pedestrians as well as wheelchairs. We have great amenities, people should be able to find them, and I think it has to be something that people do. It's not a phase over years. It's a pretty big project. Not everything they included is absolutely necessary, but it's going to be a sizable investment. But it's one that once done and done right should last for decades and decades. Next slide, please. Okay, so we start here. That's the beginning. We tried to run a logo contest for the high school. That wasn't very successful, so now we're looking at other options. The grants we have, obviously, there are visuals to kick off today. A new project, look forward to the next couple weeks, is something called a storybook project, which was initiated by the library. We collaborated and found a great book called The Curious Garden with a very strong environmental focus. And they're all involved in putting in business windows, different pages of the book. The kids can, kind of read the book through town. It's sort of like a scavenger, it has a scavenger aspect to it as well. The downtown businesses may be decorating their windows in green theme. We have the Environmental Commission and Sustainable Madison has lined up some great presentations and vendors for the tabling event that day. And I've already spoke about this, a bunch of other green focus events that I'll walk throughout the month. Next slide. Okay, I know we spoke a lot about this in the intro. I will be keeping you posted as we go. I have to work with the clerk and the administration and the police department, and in addition to the commission, on a lot of the aspects of this ordinance. You, of course, will be getting it for introduction and hearing in the coming months. Next slide. I already spoke about that. This is one working with one of our members I used for benches. He came up with a couple of concepts, and I don't just tell anybody that our garbage cans are not in the best shape. But it's time. Over the last several years, every town I go to and I visit my thing, I love to visit downtown. I get how many of them actually have the same cans as we do? I don't know why everybody got stuck on that end of it, but it is literally everywhere. I think we can do better, and I think we should. And so look for that too in the coming months. Next slide. All right. The R7, which is trafficking, Carolyn, a great job, and the programming where it is, thanks to your generosity, we were able to get the place, the main room painted, wainscoting installed, and the lighting and the ceiling, the great job in the ceiling, painted black. It was a huge visual improvement to the space. Also, at that same time, we were able to lower the curtains. Now we can show movies there, and kind of data with no infiltration, which is a boom. And we've been working with John's working with this film group, and the regular movies and films at the center. We need to further improve the space as far as sound and video capabilities. I would really like to see the entry, the lobby, and the bathrooms use an upgrade as far as paint is concerned. And we have to find a way to better accommodate. We're doing a lot of banquet and catering type events. And right now, the space is used in upgrades in that realm, whether it's just counters, refrigerators, that kind of stuff. No ovens or anything crazy like that, just things to make staging a little bit more friendly. So that's sort of the goal for this year. The DDC and their public improvement committee have been working on a plan. They've been calling it the NETC Art Walk, but this is the part that goes to the west of the museum. It's pretty much an unused space now, for most of it anyway. It's not in very good shape. There's a New Jersey Transit access, stairway there on the property. This is sort of a gateway to downtown and could really use a lot of improvement. The DDC paid initial plan for studios a couple of years ago. But now that plan needs to be further developed and fleshed out so that we have something that we can use for bidding or grants and that. The DDC, that's all allowed this year to accomplish that, get those documents ready. Next slide. I do a lot of basic advertising. The BDC has been talking at the Marketing and Economic Development Committee. We've been talking for years about doing this promotional sort of tourism video for Madison, working with Awakened Films on that, and the price. They're actually coming to the next committee meeting at the end of April. So we can flesh that out a little bit better. And then we will be doing this, will be the third year of the Experience Madison magazine, which was out in September, promotes Alco Day, promotes all of our fall events. We're working with New Jersey Monthly on that piece. I think it's been successful. We're in the atmosphere now where you have to do everything. You have to do print, you have to do digital, you have to do social media. There's no one way to reach everybody, unfortunately. Trying to get people to engage after this pandemic has become a lot harder, which I somehow find a little bit challenging at times, a little hard to understand, but we're getting through it. These are all the events I organized with the DDC. Madison's coming up. Make sure you take your tickets. Madison Green the Madison Farmers Market, which will be Thursdays again this year. We're looking to maybe move it to Saturdays in 2024. That will open on May 25th and run through November 16th. The process now, we're looking musicians who will involve 26 weeks of that. The event and organization starts soon. That's through the stages and sound. Today, down concert series is booked for the summer. And at the Art Center on the alternate Fridays, there will also be a summer concert series. So we will have a full 12 weeks of concerts downtown. Also promoted. It brings people in, brings them in. We always encourage people to come and grab a drink, a meal, in addition to the club. We start putting out the Madison Marketplace newsletter, which is a place where businesses can advertise for free twice a month. Aaron, Gianna, and I publish that twice a month. also on the Isle of Madison and their social media. And in the fall, we follow the holiday programs, working with them with Holiday Arts Festival, I've been running the Secret Santa program, and working with the Madison Christmas Committee on a bunch of things. Sort of a jack of all trades and trying to master some of them. Not necessarily successful. These are the DEC standing committees, the sign and facade committee, which reviews every signage application. To my office, although it's processed through the committee and back to the zoning officer. As I mentioned before, market plan, public improvement, arts and events. Next slide, please. This I also had parking permits through my office since 2019. Got down to a pretty good science now. We moved to the SDL platform last year. It's made things a little bit easier. I feel a lot of phone calls, I would say every day, with questions from people about parking. It's an interesting dynamic post-pandemic. Parking permits being around really selling more. It's actually selling less. For a while, nobody was parking at all. It's been, the one thing that we've seen a big increase in is the daily parking as people's hybrid work schedules. So instead of buying a permit, people are going in once or twice or 3 times a week, are buying daily passes. It's worked out really well in my annual schedule with the timing. We start the process right after the holiday, and it's pretty much done by the middle of February. So it fits nicely. Next slide. The other thing that I have been working with a resident, a very knowledgeable resident in Carson, these grants through the DEP for EV charging stations. We were able to secure 2, one in 20 and 21, or 19 and 20, that secured the 10 EV charging stations we have located in public property all over town. They're starting to get more use, which is good. They also set us up at a different level, and the state has noticed. And we have recognized Madison for restoration of our community. We're just the 4th community in the state. And we've been able to, it's been a little more time consuming as far as maintenance and keeping track of when they go out and when they don't. And working restaurant is a godsend, and we not only install these units, but if I have an issue where one goes out, he'll go and check it, reboot it, and then we work through the vendor to get things fixed and replaced. It's another item. This year, because somebody else didn't want it, we were able to secure a $200,000 grant for a fast charger, which we're in the process of bidding, and we're looking to install it in the rear of the King's Road lot, so that'll be coming over the next month. I'm trying to jam a lot of stuff in here, so I'm not going to go to the question side. So it's kind of a lot to cover. I didn't want to take up too much time. So if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer.
I just have some general comments. First, at the beginning, you talked about like your budget wasn't that big.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate yourself. Because in my opinion, the center of town is what really attracts people. That's the lifeblood of the town. And they need to keep that vibrant and attractive for everybody. The Wayfarer project that you're taking is key. I sent you that picture of, I will let it down, but they had, what I believe was a fairly low plus approach, and it seems to work. The other thing that I will send you a picture of is, I was in London one night, garbage cans. And they are nice ones. You may get British garbage cans, who knows what that's. And then finally, I know they talk about redoing the Waverly Place. Parking is key. This other town that I was in had what I call pocket parking, which wasn't on big lots, but these little areas with meters, solar powered meters that people could park in and go to the local restaurants or shops. I thought that was pretty smart, because they didn't want to overload the town with big lots. So, but you seem to have, well, I guess it was last time. Don't underestimate the importance of what you do with Phil. It's key. It's key.
And we've been very lucky and we have very little vacancy. And a bunch of, really cool businesses, one closes and one comes in. We're holding our own, for sure.
Other questions or comments?
I have a couple, if that's all right. He said, thanks so much for the presentation. You put so much effort into the downtown. We're very lucky you worked that hard for us and collaborate with everybody. It's not easy. I heard you have a very nice group. So, to the next meeting, hopefully meet everybody. I got it. 8:30. 7:15 at night. Oh, that's better. So this gateway project for the signage, I've been at the meetings where that group merged and made multiple presentations. I don't remember if there was an opportunity for any sponsorships of the signs. I know they have a plan that's just going to be specifically for Madison direction information, but there's probably a bunch of businesses in town that would want to somehow with a name there, and we would charge them.
That wasn't the intent of the committee. We want the signs to be clean and Madison centric.
Right.
And not subject to that kind of commercial use. And businesses coming up, want somebody's name on the side, and then for whatever reason that business changes in the next year. These will be evergreen. They're very beautifully designed.
Yeah.
We did the brand new project, which then informed the gateway and wayfinding. And I think, we have a very good plan and some really excellent design options. And once you look at it, I think helps understand it. I'll be happy to spend it every year.
So it's something we're going to look at soon.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Yeah, sure. I think it's fine.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. And then because it's going to be up to you to allocate funding for it and decide how you want to go about phasing it over time. And that's I'm sort of gifting it to you, and you take it from here.
Let's go. Open space, historic preservation, there's a lot of money in different places. So, the Madison Community Clean, which is the old Mayday, wants to know that sponsorships, I keep throwing that out there, but you used to have that for Mayday. I just want to participate.
We sent you the information. I sent
Is there sponsorship?
Every business. It's been on social media. It's on the website. I will email it again to everybody.
Okay.
So far, John Egan stepped up first. He signed up right away. Wind of the Spirit also signed up as a sponsor. And the usual friends of National Exchange Trading and some of the usual suspects. We didn't do the envelope mailing to everybody, because we were getting mixed results with that. They were often, nothing more disappointing, you get an 8 envelope and you open it up and then somebody's elected. So we started to feel like we were just providing free envelopes to people. So we were trying to do it a different way. But, like I said, anything that is a change or is a little bit different is going to require time and just constant pushing out.
Sure. Okay.
But yet we are accepting all sponsors. Anyway,
I'll find a message. Thank you.
reach out.
I will. So the new church and recycling container project
Yes.
is very, very, very urgent for us. We know that most of the food establishments in town sell beverages by container or plastic cups, but a lot of them will just sell a bottle of beverage. And they don't have recycling in their stores. Maybe the landlords offer recycling, which is another thing we have to address. But there should be more recycling containers.
Yes.
And with good information on both the waste receptacles and recycling, that this is for landfill, please put all recyclable materials in this container respectfully, hopefully, and more.
Right now, we have our trash can and recycling can together in one place, and then you go, there's just a trash can.
Yeah.
Or just recycle that, they have to be together.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge is finding a unit that everybody can live with and feels like it enhances the downtown without being too commercial or coming with advertising. I think that's been the challenge, is finding that perfect unit. And then, right now, we don't have a budget necessarily for that. We might be able to get a pilot program started and get a couple of units once we can decide on the unit. So, we'll take it from there and hopefully get that going.
Sure. Even around the public parks, it's the same problem we have.
Yeah.
And there's so much traction. That's a different one.
And to the mayor's earlier point, I just use my hands.
I'll
get you a
I'm a little braver. But the problem that we have a strange kind of culture thing where people throw things on the ground and instead of, Dodge Field, you also experience that. You added 100 cans and 100 signs, and I go by there and then there's bottles everywhere. We're not, somehow the message isn't trickling all the way down. It's definitely more.
Hopefully it'll get better. So, a year or two ago, you also held some concerts and events in Waverly Place. You just want to designate it now in front of the museum. You don't want to bring it back to Waverly.
We're closing the road and it inconveniences too many people. We want people to get used to going to the art center or to the museum and that little kind of arts hub there. Clear the street of cars and inconveniencing shoppers and diners. This doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
It seemed to be pretty vibrant back then, but that was COVID too.
I think, once we can get further along in the Waverly Place redevelopment project, you'll see that there is enhanced public amenity space there without closing the road, which is, to me, ideal and the best way to go as far as kind of meeting all the marks.
Thanks, Lisa.
Any other comments?
I'll just add that Parks Advisory Committee has been following along with the James Art Walk and would be eager to be involved in any updates or, proposals for that. And also related to parks, it has recently come up that our parks signage is all over the place. It's not exactly at the same level as our downtown wayfinding, but ultimately I hope we have an opportunity to expand our signage to our parks as well, because that is a place that's a destination for out-of-town visitors coming for sports events. And so I don't think park signage was included in their original merge proposal, but because it's, can be expanded upon and reused with new signs, I'd like to get that on the list as well.
Sure, and I would also like to see it, and I talked briefly to the Historical Society about that, our historic markers around town are in terrible condition. If you drive through township, they're all shiny and new, and I like to have a mess of everything there. So I'm hoping we can, include those as well. And to your point, yes, the basics are there and they can be expanded very easily. We talked to merge about that, we don't go too far afield of the original scope, but it's very easily converted.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Update. Before we bring up, just quickly announcement for those that are watching at home, you're aware that there's some audio issues, like the echo, I think that next year, we have troubleshooting, and we'll work on it better for the next meeting, but as good as we can right now. Now we're going to Jim up on our ordinances.
Tim Triple doing us for talking about, that's okay.
Team better, this team better.
So in the past few months, myself and a bunch of other people have been working on some solar changes with the ordinance. We'll just clarify a bunch of things in terms of agreements, rules, but also introducing the concept of remote network. It's a big idea, not big. So the main goals of install installations in the Borough Education and Housing Authority. The ordinance changes are needed in order to build the MLC install part board. That's where we're going to get a little remote the changes that we're making in terms of the ordinances, the rules, regulations, and ways. Again, it's also kind of clarification type of things that right now it's all over the place because it's all set. Residential, commercial, governmental. We try to make the application process a lot clearer and simpler. Shout out to Jim White staff who has been working for the past few years tirelessly on all of the residential solar applications. So this is really their process that we just put into paper. And in doing this, we try to touch on these few climate action recommendations that we're listed there. The three ordinance changes we're making are to Borough Code 9043, Appendix C, Section 6, which is the real meat and potatoes there, we're going to do some rules and regulations, and Appendix A, the applicant taking things over the rates. Also changing things with the smaller commercial rates, just the standard rates, not so and getting those if you want to.
We didn't change any rates that are being charged, we changed the language as to classification of different customers.
Yeah, that's a better way. We are still working on the international agreement that we have. That customer sign on, we'll just start pushing energy out of the grid. They are quite yet, but we'll have a little bit more, so we're trying to beef up Michael has been helping me put together a solar website to make everything a little more accessible to people. I think it's trying to make the whole thing more simpler, and the application process is eventually, pretty soon, I think, to go online. Right now, applications come through the mail, check there, and we're trying to put all of that online, and that'll streamline a lot of the process. And you're able to see it online, you can see it online, that's the case. Unless you can pay for it. So Borough Code 94-3. Essentially, all we changed here was we added a $250 resubmission of plans fee. That happens more than you would think. After approval of the resubmission, we just had a fee to do that. And we deleted the ordinance C, which talks about paying for a solar meter. Used to be when we had solar, we had to come with a special meter that reads solar energy. Now all the meters that we have already read solar energy. So we can get rid of that.
The point is not to be punitive on the additional fee for resubmission. It's to encourage the applicants to actually read the application and to actually follow the regulations. When they're told 10 or 15 times what to do and they still don't do it, their application will be rejected and may be resubmitted.
Yeah. And also, this happens often. Okay, for officially approved your solar project to go into effect. Okay, great. Here's the plans. We have the 6 plans. It's not a big deal. We're working on this. Okay, this is kind of start process over. So this is just kind of a way to determine.
And it's the cost associated with the applications. We have an outside consultant that comes in and looks at it and makes sure that it's wired properly, it's not going to impact the distribution system, because the electricity is going back out to our grid, so people make sure it's all wired properly.
So then let's see. I think this is the rules and regulations part. We're trying to just really clean it up. Essentially, everything we operate on now, the application process, the rules and rules, want to put all those to paper so that's clear. So that I have something to point to say, this is where it's actually written. This is what we do with it. The application process is spelled out. Let's step in there now. It sets our sizing limit, the size of the solar system that you can put on your house. Self-required documents. Use that application. This is all obviously on the website, the application itself. It's just another one. It's really official, and those things that here it is. Here's our system. It throws in a few things about the industry standard safety requirements. It breaks down. You have to have a clear disconnect switch. Just quick intentional all the time. One of the big things it defines governmental entities and establishes guidelines for remote net metering. Yeah, well, so net metering is what we're going to use now for most people. When we push energy back up on the grid, we credit you, depending on how much that is. Usually a pretty straightforward process. You have to manage credits on the house or place where you have those solar panels. Remote net metering is when you have one location with a solar system, like a carport, and you can use the approved credits to other accounts that you have. Jim will probably explain a little better, but that's essentially what it is. You can put together solar credits here and spread them out over your other utility accounts.
That's pretty much it. It's limited to Board of Education, housing authority, and government accounts. So there's not that many. We're trying it. It is going to be a manual process in the building department. This is not something we're going to change the building software. It's going to be, hey, no, we need to take $572 for this account and credit it over here. So it's going to be a manual process as well. But it's going to allow for the borough and the Board of Education owners to do larger solar installations like carport. Carport is going to generate more electricity than is consumed at the LRC. So the excess solar will completely pay for this bill, for this building, and will pay for part of the public safety building as well.
Appendix A has to do with all the different rates, solar included in that. Really, what I wanted to do is differentiate between residential, commercial, and governmental. So that was a huge part of it, especially in the solar rate. Obviously, we differentiate accounts like this for electric consumption. So it's just a reason why we should spread it all out and make it very clear in our solar side. Net metering, again, as what it says, is what we do right now. We credit the energy you put on the electric grid. One of the more clearly defined annual payment process of excess credit, and I think Jim can talk about that a little more in a second. Your structure for remote metering, we talked about that, and then a couple of other changes that go with these. But we didn't have a lot of things a lot. This is the goal here. We were having our solar.
This is ministerial, making the application process easier. The one thing is this government entity customer code and the remote net metering. The government entities will pay the same exact electric rate they're paying now. There's no difference in the rate they're paying. It's just that they didn't install larger scales. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions? Good outline of it? Oh, sorry.
So if Drew wanted to do something right now, they could participate in this.
A commercial account can install up to 100 kW system. So they're still allowed to install a system, it's on the small side. Our goal is to ease into allowing larger scale solar. The MRC carport is going to be the equivalent of, I think, about 80 homes in one location on our grid. So we're not, down the road, we could look into expanding commercial. There's a couple of ways to do that. Right now, no, just for government.
Thanks for the great presentation. I guess it does come across as pretty technical because it's referring to code sections and dependencies and so forth. So we appreciate the summary at the top of the presentation that really just spells out what is being accomplished here, and that it supports our climate action goals in terms of supporting the transition to renewable energy here in Madison. So, can you give us a sense about how many solar customers we have? And, we talk about people generating more electricity that they can use, they generate, a credit balance. How does that work, and how many customers are impacted by that?
So I showed up this morning, we have 98 solar customers in town, 6 or 7 on deck. They're just working their way through the application process. It's more and more all the time. I think we're on average of about 20, 30 a year right now, we go up. Out of those, let's call it 100 that exist right now, I would say maybe 20 to 25 end of the year with an excess credit over the
There's just a process if they choose to clear out that credit balance, if they sell their house. If we changed this ordinance a few years ago, we used to have that be mandated that the balance was cleared out in December. Some people are like, hey, wait a minute, January, February, March, I could be using that credit. Once you clear it out in April, everything else we do in April. We actually give them flexibility if they want the balance cleared out any time of year, if they sell the house or for other reasons. That's majority of the rule for. Some of them are saying, let the credit rule got an electric vehicle on order and we'll probably be using it up in the next 6 months. So, giving that customer flexibility is good.
Thank you. And of course, we touched on this a little bit already, but this is a great first step in allowing larger solar installations in town. Obviously, the MRC carport being kind of case study or sort of banner project for this. But as was alluded to, there are other government entities, including the Board of Ed, who can now have the path cleared to install significant solar panels on their roof, assuming they get their roof replaced and have a suitable substrate for installing solar panels. So, in one or two sentences, how would that work for Madison High School? How could the Board of Ed go about installing solar panels on their roof in order to generate their own electricity?
So, high school's obviously a great location, flat roof, no trees, could probably generate more electricity than they consume, and they could promote credit to, say, Torrey J or Kings Road that doesn't really face the right way, that has more trees up against it. They don't need to put any money out. They can do what we were talking about a couple years ago, which is a PPA, where someone comes in, designs, builds, maintains, puts the solar panels on the roof, charges them an electric rate, and then they're able to save money. And obviously, the reason we started with government entities is because if the borough saves money, if the Board of Ed saves money, it's the taxpayers that save money. So that would be a way to effectively do that without having a large capital.
Based on the final exam, PPA's power purchase agreement.
Thank you, Mayor.
Richard,
That's all, thank you.
Yeah, just, I know a lot of these changes, are focused along the government installations and larger installations. And you highlighted a couple of things like moving the application online. What else are we doing to make the residential process a little easier?
well, again, it's online. We're spelling out the ordinance now. The rates and the structure of solar units are very beneficial to the solar customer here. I think several solar companies that work here, they're the sales pitch for anyone looking for it because it's the same companies that keep coming back as customers.
I would say the website, the brochure that we're doing, a small change where you wouldn't see or know is that it used to be you had to have an electrical engineer approve your plans. Now we're saying it could be an electrical contractor that can sign and approve your plans. Because we're going to have our engineer look at it anyway. And that was a big hurdle. That was a problem for a lot of the applicants. They're like, why do I have to do that? I don't have to do that anywhere else. So little language changes in there that were made that we're hoping are going to be helpful.
Going back to the high school question. Are we talking about putting on their roof, or do we do something like the MRC where they have several large parking lots? Wouldn't it make sense to put the solar panels on the parking lot?
That would be up to them. We're giving you the ability to do it.
Okay.
If it's up to them, whether the roof, the parking lots, or whatever, turn Monica Stadium into a,
I'm just talking about.
Sorry. Any other questions? So this is, ordinance the 25, 26, and 27 are up for introduction, so when we get to that, we can all have a discussion about that, because we covered it pretty well.
And I'll just say, Mayor, that once the budget is adopted, we're going to be looking to advance funding ordinance for the solar carports, and we can come back to council to move that project forward, get it out to bid, see what kind of pricing we're going to get. It could be that the sections in such a way solar panels are priced could be good, or it could be upgraded, we have to see. And so, but that project will be moving forward to over the next few months.
Very good. Ordinance here, clerk, please read the statement.
The ordinance is scheduled for hearing, introduced by title, and passed on first reading at the regular meeting of council held on March 27, 2023. All posted and filed according to law, and copies will be available to the general public requesting the same.
I call ordinance for second reading, as clerk reads the ordinance by title. Ordinance 21-2023.
Calendar year 2023 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap.
I open the hearing. Anyone wishing to comment on ordinance 21, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Yeah, I move, ordinance 21-2023.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 I declare ordinance 21-2023 adopted. Finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. Ordinance 22-2023.
Ordinance for Borough, Madison, appropriating $55,000 from the general capital improvement fund for the purchase of automated license plate readers, security cameras, wiring, and other related security equipment.
I open the hearing on ordinance 22. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing. Sorry. Public comment? Or on this ordinance. Oh, sorry.
Mayor, I move ordinance 22-2023.
Second.
Any council discussion?
Mayor, just a quick comment. I just wanted to note two incidents where recently this year the ALPRs that we already have deployed in Madison and neighboring communities have led to apprehension of suspects in an incident here in Madison and an incident in neighboring Trenton Township. That investigation actually led to charges in 4 other jurisdictions. So this is technology that is helping our police department do the great work.
Roll, please.
Mr. Hooper?
Yes.
Mr. Earl?
Yes.
Mr. Landry?
Yes.
Mr. Raines?
Yes.
Mr. Harold, please.
Yes.
Consider ordinance 22-2023 adopted by pass as a first public notice there in the newspaper and the following ordinance will refer to the law. Okay. Anyway, ordinance 23-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $50,000 from the general capital improvement fund for the purchase of replacement annual equipment for the police department, which have exceeded the service warranty and useful life.
I open hearing on ordinance 23. Anyone wishing to comment on ordinance 23, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 23-2023.
Second. Any council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hooper?
Yes.
Mr. Earl?
Yes.
Mr. Landry?
Yes.
Mr. Raines?
Yes.
Mr. Harold, please.
Yes.
I declare ordinance 23-2023 adopted by the pass and ask the clerk publish notice thereof in the newspaper, following ordinance according to law. Ordinance 24-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $50,000 from the general capital improvement fund for the 2023 high school site remediation activities within the municipal department.
I open the hearing for ordinance 24. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, ordinance 24-2023.
Second. Any council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hooper?
Yes.
Mr. Earl?
Yes.
Mr. Landry?
Yes.
Mr. Raines?
Yes.
Mr. Harold, please.
Yes.
I declare ordinance 24-2023 adopted by the pass and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper, following ordinance according to law. Now we're on to the second invitation for public comment. This is when you may comment on any topic. Please step up to lectern, state your name and address, write the same on the clipboard. Try to keep your comments for 3 minutes, but we give you 1 minute grace for this document. Welcome.
Sorry, trying to get there. So good evening, my name is David Duran, 77 North Street. I've been a Madison resident for 12 years. Long time listener, first time caller, I guess. Tonight I want to raise the awareness about the community's concerns regarding the Madison community pool, a lump sum destination for generations. While I do appreciate that the pool is run by an independent board of trustees and is not directly affiliated with the borough, I hope you'll agree that the pool's continued success is of significance to them for the Madison community. In February, I wrote an open letter to the pool trustees which summarized a variety of concerns shared by members online, notably a lack of transparency, a lack of engagement with members, and limited representation on the board. I shared this letter online February 15th, and it's now been signed by over 50 members of the community. After no initial response from the pool, I mailed a hard copy to the pool board and board of council on March 1st, and finally, after some prodding, was granted a meeting with 2 trustees on March 27th. Unfortunately, I left the meeting with more frustration and concern than before, most pressing of which is an apparent risk of insolvency at NCP within the year. I based this conclusion on the pool's annual nonprofit tax filings, which are available online, ending up to date through October 2020. In the 3 prior reported years, 2018, 19, and 20, the pool lost over $500 million. And while the loss in 2020 could be expected due to COVID, even prior to that, they were losing $150,000 a year. Worse, as of October 2020, they report liquid assets of a little over $400,000. With that balance and that rate of spend, you would be broke in less than 3 years, which is this October. Now, a lot can happen in 2.5 years, and so since early February, I've repeatedly and respectfully been asking the pool to clarify the current financial situation and provide more recent financial data. The reasons I do not understand why they continue to refuse to do so. This lack of transparency is especially frustrating as the pool's own bylaws state, immediately upon request, we will disclose any pool member who requested a copy of the most recently filed income statements, as well as submissions to IRS, to get them to, quote, make these documents available for public inspection upon written request. I want to be clear, my family and I love the Madison pool, as do to many that have grown up here and many that have recently joined. The pool has been a fixture of summer in Madison for decades, and my interest is in seeing that continue for the decades to come. So I'm here tonight asking for your help to engage with the pool board to whatever extent we can. My bare minimum expectation is that the pool will share their financials openly, consistent with their commitments to do so. And I would hope that they will also continue to see the mutual benefit of engaging more openly with its members and increasing representation on its board. Myself and others have offered to help, but it is currently calling until years. I thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you, David. When you like to have a conversation tomorrow as to appropriate follow-up steps. Brought back our liaison. Okay, so please, conversation. Anyone else wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. We now move on to introductory ordinances.
Ordinance is scheduled for first reading at a hearing date set for Wednesday, April 26, 2023, will be published in the Madison Legal Post. Bulletin board will be available to the public requesting comments.
For ordinances for first reading, clerk will read said ordinance by title, ordinance 25-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison, amending chapter 94, attachment 3 and C, entitled Electric Utility Department Rules and Regulations.
Mayor, I move ordinance 25-2023.
Second. Discuss these, but any further discussion?
Just a general comment that this was brought up by Jim and Jim previously, but I'm really pleased that we're introducing these three ordinances tonight. All of them work together to support some of the specific recommendations and work in progress from the Climate Action Committee recommendations to improve the adoption of solar in town, both by residential customers and expand the options for governmental entities. So this is an exciting step that I know it's been in the works for a long time, and I'm really pleased that we're discussing and introducing these three ordinances.
Any further comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Earl?
Yes.
Mr. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Ordinance 26-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison, amending chapter 94, appendix A of the Borough Code entitled Electric Utility regarding net metering.
Mayor, I move ordinance 26-2023.
Second. Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Earl?
Yes.
Mr. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Harold?
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison, amending chapter 94 of the Borough Code entitled Electric Utility to amend the rules and regulations of the electric utility department to set forth requirements, fees, and rates for customers who receive electricity into Madison's electrical system.
Mayor, I move ordinance 27-2023.
Second. Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please. Yes.
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 Consent agenda resolutions will first be read today.
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted in a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in form minutes.
Mayor, I move resolution 119-2023 through 129-2023.
Second.
Any discussion or any people? Roll call vote.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Earl?
Yes.
Mr. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Harold?
Yes.
Unfinished business, approval of vouchers. Please read public.
$261,120.41 from the general capital fund, $12,600. From the electric operating fund, $99,650.83. From the electric capital fund, $74,906.78. From the water operating fund, $4,310.81. From the water capital fund, $11,837.08. From the trust, $18,771.70. The totals $483,197.31.
Mayor, I move payment of the vouchers.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hooper?
Yes.
Ms. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
No new business? Make a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all.